Hello all, welcome to rawtrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about stored programs in SQL Server. And let's get into agenda. We'll try to understand the different types of stored programs which are available in MS SQL Server, and also some guidelines or information for the developers from Oracle DB background. And we'll understand how do we create a procedure with and without parameter, and also a function of different types like a scalar as well as tabular output. These are the four different types of stored programs which are supported in SQL Server. And the first one is a procedure, next one a function, trigger, as well as view. So procedures, we generally use it for the purpose of data computation task, and we use the keyword create procedure. Function, we generally use it for the purpose of calculation purpose, wherein it provides a result via written variable, and we use a word called create function. And the trigger is the one which executes automatically on a specific event. And the view, it's like this getting the portion of a SQL query. I mean, select like you'll be designing your query based on certain set of tables, and you want to view only specific data based on certain condition. You generally create a view. Now we'll try to understand procedure and function, and before that, we'll try to understand what is the difference between a package, a procedure, or function from Oracle DB background. So generally, when we design any of the procedure function, predominantly most developers or Oracle prefers to create a package and create a procedure function inside it. So package is the generally the encapsulation for the procedure function. And unlike in MS SQL where we have there is no package concept, and if at all if you want to create any stored program, either procedure or a function, you have to create it. And why the difference is it's more of a architectural differences, and based on that, we have this particular different concept. Okay. And these are the differences between a package concept as well as the stored program concept in SQL Server. So there is no package in SQL Server as we just mentioned, and if at all if you want to create a stored program, either procedure or function, you have to create it, and you don't have a shared variable concept. You have to use a different concept like a session context or maybe application variables. You have to use it, and there is no package specification, and we have to use scalar functions or maybe a config tables. You have to use it. So these are a couple of minute differences between Oracle as well as SQL Server with respect to stored program. Okay. Now we'll get to the next one, procedure. So the procedure, again, we have different set of functionalities we come across. Generally, you may create a procedure with parameter, without parameter, with multi parameters, right? We'll just see all of them with an example. So the first thing is, what is the syntax of a procedure, right? So you can mention a create procedure followed by the schema name, then procedure name, followed by at the rate symbol, the parameter, data type. You can mention a default value, and you can mention whether it's an out variable. If not, by default it is in variable. Then the as keyword followed by begin as well as end. So this is the initial a syntax or a skeleton of a procedure. Okay. Now we'll just see one example. So in this example, you can observe here we are creating a procedure without any parameters. Okay, and we just want to print the log output, right? So here we just wrote a print log details sample log procedure with the date. So and you can see the output here, the log details like this, and the from the here to here create to end, this is the body of a procedure. And after that we have a go command, then exec, this is execute is a command for the purpose used for the purpose of executing the procedure. So now what we do is we'll execute this particular procedure. I'll just go to the Server Studio. I'll just close the existing windows which I opened. I'll close this one. I'll just try to open it. Yeah. So we'd like to open the sample log. Let's say I am just open this one. So create or alter. You can actually alter is not mandatory, but if at all, let us say when you get a requirement, initially you create a procedure, but generally you may need to modify it, you may need to enhance it, right? So better to use alter so that if at all the procedure is existing, it'll get replaced. So I'll just execute this command, execute this particular selected portion, select the text and click on execute. Now the procedure gets compiled. The procedure gets compiled. And now what you can do is you can just execute this particular procedure. So to execute the procedure, you have to use a command called exec followed by the procedure name. So you can also use Control E as a shortcut. Yep. So the procedure got executed here. You can see it. Procedure sample log and was executed like this. And let us say I'll write one more statement. Log details using procedure in MSSQL. Let us say I just updated the code. Now I'll try to execute here. Control E, and then I'll select my execc command. Control E. Now we can observe that this latest statement was updated here, right? So this is how we can create a procedure without any parameters. Now we'll just see another sample wherein we'd like to create display the employee details, right? So before discussing this one, what I would like to show you is like there is a schema which I have considered. So let me show you the sample HR schema. So I have a couple of tables like HR departments, HR employees. Okay. So this is a list of, I mean, this is a what you call, this is a schema which I want to consider now in our sample today. HR employees, HR job titles, as well as HR employee jobs. Okay, these are a couple of tables which I want to consider. So before that, what I'll do is I'll try to show you the data, what is there in this one. So let's start from HR dot employees. So you can observe that there are a couple of records here. There are 9 records we have here. Okay, this is the sample schema, and based on this particular schema, we have all the samples which are designed accordingly. So now what I'll do is I'll try to open this procedure. Let us say display employees procedure. So in this one here, if you observe, this procedure is almost similar to the earlier one where we are printing the log. But in this one, what are we doing is we are trying to extract the data from a specific table, and we have not provided any input parameter as well as, I mean, as it is a procedure, there is no output parameter, right? So I'll just execute this one and create or alter procedure, display employees as begin, select start from HR.employees. So what are we doing here? We are trying to print the data which is available in this particular table, right? So now if I try to execute this particular table, it provides the result which is available, right? It provides the data which is available in this particular table, right? Now, similarly, I'll try to show you one more example wherein we are trying to display the employee data based on a specific employee ID, right? So this is a procedure with a parameter. So in this one, what are we doing is we are trying to display the employee data based on the employee ID we are passing it, right? So how do we execute a procedure with a parameter? Let us understand that. So here what we have done, create or alter procedure, display employee, and then we have declared a keyword, sorry, we declared a keyword. It's not a keyword. I mean to say we have declared a parameter at the rate p underscore employee ID with the data type int, integer, as followed by begin and then enclosed ended with the end, right? So here, what are we doing? We're trying to fetch the data based on the employee ID which user is passing. So let us execute this one. Yeah, got compiled. Now let us say if you try to pass the employee ID 1, let us see what data you'll get it, right? So we got this use data. Let us say I'll pass employee ID 4 or 5. Let's see what data we get it, right? So there is no employee with the data 5, maybe 6, right? So we got the employee ID of R of hotel where the employee ID is 6. So this is how we can execute as well as create a procedure with a parameter. And this is a single parameter, right? Now we'll try to understand how do we create a procedure with multi-parameters. It's very important. So let us see this. Now, what I have done is in this one, we have considered 4 input parameters and each with a different data type. The first name, the procedure name is insert employee, first name, last name, hire date, as well as salary. So these are the 4 input parameters of different data types we have it. First name, last name, varchar, hire date is a date parameter, salary is an integer parameter. So in this one, we have mentioned just purpose of logging. We just mentioned what are the data user is passing. We are just printing the log, and then after that, we are inserting that using a insert command, insert into the employee table, right? This is hr.employee. Yeah, it's okay. It should work. Oh, this is hr.employees table. And then first name, last name, hire date, and salary. So you can observe here this particular one, hr.employees, wherein we have first name, last name, hire date, salary. Yeah. So yes. So now what we do is we'll try to select this one, right? Got compiled. And here, what we do is, let us say, so before checking the data before inserting the data, right? So let us say I'll try to see the data which is available here, hr.employees. And here we have around 9 records, and there is no employee with a Sriram, right? So now what I'll do is, so I would like to pass this data, right? First name, last name, as well as height date. So how many, yeah, first name, last name, height date, as well as salary also, right? So let's say we'll pass salary also, even though if you don't pass salary also, it will work because we wantedly mentioned that by default, the parameters value can be null, right? So P salary is equal to 1000 or 10,000. Let's see the parameter name P underscore salary. And here in MSSQL, by default, this is a date format it considers when you're passing the data. So if at all, if you want to pass in a different format, you have to use appropriate convert statement. Okay. So if at all, if your date format is this one, yep, it doesn't require any conversion. So yep. Okay. Yeah, the syntax here, comma is missing. Let's try again. Okay, these are the list of values which we passed in the input and one row affected. And you can also observe the data here. Let us say I'll execute select starter HR employees. We should be able to see the record with the first name Sriram should be inserted, right? And the department ID as well as email were null. So yeah, this is how we can create a procedure with multiple parameters of different data type. Okay, now we'll see another one, functions, right? So functions, we generally use it for the purpose of computation purpose. And the functions again, there are like you can use a different function based on the requirement. The first one we call it a scalar function, wherein it returns only one value, and the value can be of integer, date, varchar. And the other one is called inline table function. Third one is multi-statement table valued function. So the second and third almost similar. They are used for the purpose of returning multiple records rather than single static value, the single value. They are used for the purpose of returning multiple records and multiple columns. But the implementation of second and third will differ based on the return value, the positioning of return value, how they provide the value for the return value, right? So we'll understand that one by one. So we can also observe the syntax here. The scalar function, it says return scalar expression, and but for the other one it says return SQL statement. So that's where the difference between the scalar one as well as a table valued function. Okay, and create or alter function, schema name, function name, and parameter. Okay, return data type you need to mention for this particular function. Okay, now let us see here a scalar function wherein we are expecting only one output variable, right? So let us see this one. So what are we trying to do is we are trying to get the employee count. We are just simply getting the employee count. So let's say get employee count. Yeah, so I'll just try to execute this one. Okay, as we just saw that there are 10 records, right? So that's how we can. To execute a function, we have to use select statement followed by your function name. As this function is not having any input parameters, so we are not passing any input parameter to this one. Okay, so you can just mention dbo dot fn underscore get employee count. So why did I mention like this? Because the function name itself is this how we mention, right? Fn underscore employee count. Okay, so now coming to the next one, inline table valued function. The difference here is in the return statement we mentioned a query. Okay, so yeah, let's see. So inline function. And here, yeah. So let's see, what are we trying to do with this? We are trying to get all the employees who joined in a specific year, right? So in the return statement, we are just passing the year variable. And here, how are we extracting the year from the hide date? So we have a function called year. We just pass the date and this will return the year value from the date. Okay. So execute this one. Okay. So it got some error. Let us see. Yeah. Why it is giving error? Because we have not used alter. So if at all, if you use alter, you can replace the existing function with this function name. Okay, and now let's try to execute this one. And if at all, if it is a non-scalar function, nothing but if it is a tabular function, this is the syntax you have to use it. For earlier one, what we have done is we just mentioned select followed by the function name, right? We have not used any from clause. But for the inline function or a tabular function, you have to use the from clause because this particular return value of a function is nothing but a table kind of thing. So that's the reason you have to consider in the from clause. So we just mentioned the year. Let us I mention if at all if I just pass 0, You will not have any employee with a hide date of 0, so will not get any result. Okay. Now let us see the last one, multi-statement function or tabular function. It is almost similar to the earlier one, but in this one, what are we doing is, instead of writing the return statement in the return, we are passing the return value, a table return value to the a particular variable, and then providing the output. So create or alter function and employee by department. So we are passing the department ID as an input, and we want to return only couple of values, not all values. Here, if you observe, return result is a variable name, result is a variable name, and this is a table data type, and which is having two columns, employee ID as well as full name. Then as keyword, begin as well as end. Here, if you observe, so select is a query which we are passing the department ID, and then this result, where are we inserting? We are inserting this result into a variable called result, right? We are inserting the result, and the select keyword should return only two variables, employee ID, and then concatenated first name and last name. Okay. Now let's execute this one. Yep. And let us see how many records will get it, right? So these are a couple of employees which are with the department too, right? So these are the list of different types of stored programs in the MS SQL. So we have discussed a various couple of samples of procedures as well as function. Thank you.